Let's talk about space exploration technologies. There was a little bit of movement last week on SpaceX, possibly setting up shop here in South Texas, setting up the nation and perhaps the world's first commercial private rocket launch complex. And we're so excited about that. And we got some good word overnight that likely within the next 24 hours or so, we might be hearing official word on that. And it's, it's the big elephant in the room. It's going to happen. And for sure, with what our sources are telling us, the big press release and official announcement likely going to happen very, very soon. And we can't wait to see that rocket launch into space from the Rio Grande Valley, from Brownsville. And joining us on 710 KURV to look ahead to this very, very bright and glistening future, Carlos Cascos is the county judge for Cameron County. Carlos, thanks for making some time to talk with us this morning. Okay, so first up, on the economic development side, what do you see? What do you envision will be the windfall, the benefit of having this rocket launch complex and setting up in Cameron County?
Well, first of all, good morning to you, and thank you for taking the time to visit. Obviously, everyone in South Texas is excited about the possibility of SpaceX coming here. The economic development, the educational development that we anticipate that the SpaceX will generate is kind of hard to quantify. We do know that we anticipate job creation, and with that, we anticipate new people moving to the valley, buying homes, shopping, doing all kinds of good stuff. As far as what the economic impact is going to be is somewhat not readily measurable, but I will tell you that based on what we've heard, what we've seen, and what we've talked about, it's going to be in the millions every year.
Is there a synergy, some work that's taking place between your group there at the county, the kids over at Brownsville Economic Development, and the governor's office, and so that we, properly lure to this area all the ancillary businesses that would be relevant for something like this, to make sure that we host them down here, and the kids up in Corpus don't snatch away anything from us, and that we're able to host everything here in Deep South Texas.
Well, there's a lot of partners in this endeavor. The county, the Economic Development Council, the governor's office, as you mentioned, our local chambers, everybody that's jumping on board with this. In terms of the incentives that the governor's office has committed X amount of dollars to lure SpaceX here. Our local Economic Development Council has offered X amount of dollars as well. What we're working on, which is really the important component. I mean, they're all important, but from the county's perspective, we had some obstacles to try to jump over, and one of them was the beach closures. That was a really, really big deal because it is a public beach, and it had never been done in terms of closing a public beach for private enterprise.
Yeah.
So we had to go through that. That happened. What the county is working on is our two agreements. One of them, of course, is the and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. We have a meeting today at 3:00 to continue discussions, but it revolves around tax abatements and some of the wording that we need to that SpaceX and the county are negotiating back and forth in terms of terminology, conditions, terms, etc. So we're working on that. And so what I've always said is that we, the county, the Economic Development Council, the governor's office is doing everything within its power to do everything that we need to be doing in order to attract SpaceX and making sure that we put on our best face, our best package together, so we don't lose it to some other area.
The 3 p.m. meeting that you've scheduled for today, Carlos, is that a regular county commission meeting, or are you guys getting together to talk about the SpaceX related stuff?
Yeah, it's specifically for SpaceX.
Okay.
There's because as you mentioned earlier in your program, we're anticipating some kind of an announcement.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's this week, next week, because really nobody really knows
I'm
except
hearing
for
it's within
Elon Musk.
24 hours we could be hearing something like that very soon. So,
It could be so,
yeah.
but our meeting had just trying to tie down the agreement, make sure that we're ready to go. So
Yes,
if
sir.
there is an announcement, there's no hiccup.
Yeah, put all the little ducks in order. Joining us on 710 KURV, Carlos Cascos is the county judge in Cameron County.
Judge Tim Sullivan here. How much property does SpaceX own or lease now in that area at the end of Highway 4?
It's kind of a moving target. Every opportunity that we see, they're acquiring, a couple of lots here, an acre here, 2 acres there. In terms of and for all we know, they've probably acquired property that we're not even aware of because they are dealing with private owners, and we're not going down to the courthouse and looking at deeds or anything like that. I mean, they're going to try to acquire whatever they believe that they need to acquire. So that's going to be a moving number. At the end, it could be 50 acres, 100 acres, 200 acres. We don't know, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that they're doing their due diligence and they're doing what they need to be doing. But I tell you, I hear about almost every month where they've acquired a small piece of property, and they're taking some baby steps in terms of what they can acquire. And also, as you know, dealing with government is never easy, but I imagine dealing with private enterprise or private landowners is just as difficult.
Yeah, it could be. Back to the economic impact for a bit, and if this rocket launch complex is built, what, just in your mind, what part of Cameron County do you see the growth happening in terms of, all the housing that's going to be built, as you mentioned? Do you see Brownsville, a part of Brownsville, really growing, or do you see Los Fresnos, for instance, becoming a new boom town? Or
I don't think that there's any community in South Texas that will not be impacted in some way or another. Of course, it's going to depend on, obviously, when these families come down. I think they're going to look at a few things. I think they're going to look at the educational system, and they're going to look at our medical system as well. Some of these families may be bringing families down. Some of their kids may have special needs. We don't know at this point, but I think that every community has an opportunity here, just depending on how far or how close people that work at SpaceX want to be from the site. We've got some really good school districts, in South Texas, and they're gonna be able to basically cherry pick where they want to live. So really, it's kind of hard to say, well, they're going to live in, Los Fresnos or Rancho Viejo or La Feria or Los Cimas,
McAllen,
wherever it is.
Edinburgh.
Yeah, they could even,
Mission.
Keep in mind that only here in South Texas should we really look at our county lines.
Yeah.
People in larger communities, commute
That's
on
true.
a regular basis, 45
true.
minutes to an hour to and from work. So I don't see
It
any
is what it
reason
is.
why people may not want to live on the island, may not want to live in the Hidalgo County area. And do that 45-minute to 1 hour commute. It may not
Understood.
be a big deal to them.
yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see all these where all these new subdivisions pop up.
Our guest right now is Carlos Cascos. He's a Cameron County judge joining us on 710 KURV. We've got on good word that we're about 24 hours from a possible announcement, making it official. We've been waiting so long for it to happen. And, of course, we will be quite giddy when we see that final press release when it comes out. I got to ask you, Carlos, on the infrastructure side, to house SpaceX, do we need to fatten up the roads, or are there some things that the county needs to provide, fatter roads, stronger roads, or any infrastructure for this project to finally be done here pretty soon?
Well, the route to get to the SpaceX location is Highway 4, and that's going to need some enhancements. That's a state highway. TxDOT is already committing to make the improvements that are necessary, be it widening it, being it strengthening it up. As far as infrastructure, those are details that we will work out. And as I prefaced earlier, without giving away the family farm, we're going to do all that we need to do to make sure that SpaceX and the related companies are provided for well, that we really make it an attractive area for them to want to not only be here, stay here, and attract
10-4.
industries.
All right, let's go into the future. Let's say it's 10 years from now, Carlos. 10 years from now. And it's old hat now. It's a regular occurrence. Rockets going into space. And they offered you a seat on one of those capsules. Would you take it? Would you go up into space?
Well, if absolutely.
Yeah, attaboy. Start the training now, Carlos. Thank you. Carlos Cascos, Cameron County Judge, joining us on 710 KURV.